We're in the beginning stretch of severe weather season. We're going to continue to see some storms, strong to severe, impacting our area that could have us changing our plans and even requiring us to take additional steps to protect the loved ones and our homes. Thanks for joining us. I'm WUSA9 Chief Meteorologist Topper Shutt.
And I'm meteorologist Caitlin McGrath. Our weather impact team wants to make sure you're prepared for anything heading our way, especially during the busy spring and summer months. We'll issue weather impact alerts for different types of impactful weather, and these can include nuisance weather events, which may just require you to change your plans, life-threatening weather, of course, the most dangerous, and dynamic and changing forecasts that really require you to check in and see the latest forecast with us.
And over the next 30 minutes, we're going to help you to prepare for any type of severe weather by showing you smart ways to prepare for storms and what to do once a storm hits us. But first, we want to show you our brand new Weather Commander. Take a look. The Weather Commander is equipped with all the technology we need to bring you real-time forecast updates during any type of weather. You can count on us to report live from our Weather Commander during weather impact alerts so you know exactly what road conditions look like.
Now let's talk about different types of severe weather we see throughout the DMV, because we see quite a lot.
Okay, let's talk lightning. And the lightning and thunderstorms, very dangerous. I don't think folks take it seriously enough in terms of the number of fatalities in the DMV and across the country every year. So let's first talk about the temperature of lightning. This always kind of blows my mind. The temperature is 5 times hotter than the surface of the sun. Think about that for a minute. So bolts can reach temperatures up to 50,000 degrees. Now, let's talk about the types of lightning. There's 3 types of lightning, okay? We've got the cloud to ground, which is what everybody thinks is the only type of lightning, but it's not. There's also ground back to the cloud lightning, and there's even cloud to cloud lightning. So we always sort of think it's just always from the cloud to the ground, but it's not. There's 3 types of lightning, and all of them are dangerous in terms of our safety, especially the ground to cloud and the cloud to ground, okay? So the bottom line is, it's a good rule of thumb, we say this all the time, if you hear thunder, you need to go indoors and just please take shelter. Don't want to take shelter under a tree or a tall object. Go indoors and stay safe when you hear thunder.
Hail forms inside of strong thunderstorms. Winds inside the storm, called updrafts, carry raindrops up into very cold parts of the cloud where they freeze into ice. Now, these frozen pieces get tossed up and down during the storm, adding more layers of ice each time. Now, once they become too heavy for the storm to support, they fall to the ground as hail. Hail comes in many sizes, from small pea-size hail to larger quarter-size hail. Quarter-size hail is considered severe, and it's about 1 inch in diameter. You can even get golf ball size hail, baseball size hail, and even some grapefruit size hail.
Tornadoes usually develop on warm, humid days. As hot air rises and hits cooler air above, moisture condenses into clouds. This process, occurring on a large scale, will eventually produce towering clouds and even a thunderstorm. But we also need wind shear, wind speed or direction that changes with height. For example, at the ground, the air is moving one speed or direction, but above our heads, the air is flowing a different way. In between this creates horizontal rotation. When air rises up quickly in a thunderstorm, known as the updraft, that rotation gets tilted vertically. As that spin gets stronger, the cloud base starts to lower, and sometimes a funnel becomes visible. This funnel cloud is made up of spinning water droplets from moisture getting continuously pulled into the storm. Once the funnel touches the ground, it becomes a tornado, taking up dirt and debris. Whoa! The tornado may only last for a few seconds, or it can go on for miles. Winds don't need to be rotating to be incredibly dangerous. Straight line wind can be just as, if not more, destructive. Just think of the devastating derecho that swept through the region in 2012. Topper will have a full recap of that historic event coming up in just a bit. But first, I want to review the threat categories the National Weather Service assigns to severe thunderstorm warnings, because this can be life-saving when it comes to identifying storms with exceptionally powerful winds. The baseline for a severe thunderstorm warning includes winds of 58 miles per hour or hail that's 1 inch in diameter. A considerable severe thunderstorm warning accounts for winds up to 70 miles per hour and hail that's 1 3/4 inches in diameter. And most serious is a destructive severe thunderstorm warning that should no doubt be treated with the same threat as a tornado warning. These warnings indicate winds up to 80 miles per hour or hail that is 2 3/4 of an inch in diameters. Oftentimes in these powerful severe storms, we'll also see torrential rain. And with more on the risks associated with flooding, I'll send it over to meteorologist Grace Thornton.
During severe weather season, when rain falls, it can fall hard and fast. Flash flooding is another aspect of severe weather that may not come to the forefront of your mind, but it is arguably the most important. As far as severe weather hazards go, flooding is the main cause of fatalities. But how does this happen? Well, during active weather, high rainfall rates in thunderstorms drop inches of water within short periods of time. Now, that water stacks up quickly. Rivers rise out of their banks, drains overflow, and suddenly large surges of water must find a place to go. Dry soils and steep topography can make flash flooding worse in many cases. Dry grounds can't soak up water effectively, and steep inclines create rapid runoff. Now, rising water can sweep a person off their feet, but if you're a car, remember, turn around, don't drown. Make your way to higher ground once you are outside of your vehicle. Now, a foot of water will float your car, but more than that can float SUVs and trucks.
All right, thanks, Grace. You know, our area has certainly seen some wild storms over the years. I look back at some of the hardest ones that hit us, starting with a 2012 derecho. I'll never forget June 29, 2012, night of the derecho. A line of thunderstorms 100 miles from tip to toe rolled through the DMV that Friday night between 9:30 and 11:30, packing straight-line winds of 50 to 80 miles per hour. Now, this same clump of storms hit southeastern Ohio and West Virginia with hurricane-force winds Friday evening. The technical term for this is mesoscale convective system, or derecho. And these are usually seen in the Midwest, but not in the Mid-Atlantic. Numerous trees and branches took down power lines and blocked roads. Derecho means straight, which aptly describes the winds from these systems. Nashville Airport hit a daily record high of 104 and set an all-time June record high that day. This cluster of thunderstorms held its shape and intensity from the Ohio River to the Potomac River and across the bay into our ocean resorts in coastal Delaware and Maryland. The intense heat ahead of the storm complex fueled the storms as they raced eastward Friday night. Over 2 million customers lost power in the D.C. metro and were without power for several days. Not since September of 2003, when Hurricane Isabel struck, have so many been left in the dark. Isabel left 1.4 million without power. Highs remained in the upper 90s with some triple digits through July 8th in the wake of the derecho. 22 people were killed in the U.S. from the derecho. That resulted in $2.9 billion in damage. Now let's talk about the La Plata tornado, April 28th, 2002. The entire metro area was under a tornado watch by 3:45 p.m. that Sunday afternoon. A tornado warning was issued for Shenandoah County in Virginia just after 4:30 p.m. And our live Doppler radar tracked this cell east-southeast as the tornado touched down and then lifted up from Shenandoah County all the way across the bay. The tornado was on the ground for a total of 68 miles, 24 of which were in Charles County, Maryland. The tornado came down Port Tobacco Road here, hit the church, okay, the steeple was gone, destroyed that shopping center and that shopping center, and even, well, that real estate building as well, and we keep walking, and all the way down, it destroyed the Burger King. The tornado was responsible for 5 fatalities and $100 million in damage. This tornado was an F4 with winds between 207 and 260 miles per hour.
Electrical wires everywhere, water tower down in the main street where we were, cars and damage everywhere.
The La Plata tornado, as we've all named it, was the strongest tornado in Maryland history and the second strongest tornado ever in the East. The Worcester, Mass. tornado in 1953 was more powerful. During that night, we interrupted 60 Minutes, and we were the only TV station live and on the air tracking this tornado. June 5th, just last year, the DMV saw 13 confirmed tornadoes. It was the largest outbreak in nearly 20 years since Ivan in September of 2004, when Virginia alone saw a record 40 tornadoes. Downed tree trapped 5 in a Gaithersburg home, sending 1 person to the hospital. No injuries reported. The National Weather Service confirmed 3 tornadoes around Gaithersburg and Poolesville. The Gaithersburg tornado was an EF1 with winds up to 95 miles an hour. The Poolesville tornado was a bit stronger, but also an EF1, but winds were 105 miles per hour, and it was on the ground for 9 miles. An EF1 also struck Leesburg with winds of 95 miles per hour. To the north, Baltimore. The area saw 4 tornadoes up there confirmed, and 3 tornadoes touched down in West Virginia. One in Inwood with winds of 75 miles per hour, one in Kearneysville with winds of 70 miles per hour, and one in Shepherdstown with winds of 80 miles per hour, all EF0s. Now, let's look back on July 8th, 2019. 1 to 5 inches of rain fell across the DMV between 5 a.m. and 10 a.m. 3.44 inches fell at Nashville for a daily rainfall record. This heavy rain wreaked havoc on the morning commute. There were dozens of water rescues in D.C., 55 water rescues in Fairfax County, and over 24 rescues in Montgomery County. The heavy rain created a waterfall at the Virginia Square Metro Station in Arlington. There was even a mudslide into a house in Potomac, but no one was injured. Okay, just a couple things. Back to tornadoes for a minute. If there's a tornado warning in our area that we serve, we're going to be on the air until we feel it is safe or until the tornado warning has expired or been canceled. It's our responsibility, given the FCC rules, to protect life and property. Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, we aim to provide that critical life-saving information. And I think what folks, sometimes don't realize is that whenever a tornado warning is issued for, say, Montgomery County, it might not be the entire county. It can be just a small sliver of it, but we still have to be on the air providing those critical updates. We do, and I know it's kind of frustrating if you're in Loudoun County and we're talking about a tornado in Montgomery County, but remember, if it's in your county, we will be on for you. And also a good refresher that geography is important. Most tornadoes, move southeast to southwest to northeast. So if you're in Loudoun County with a warning, you're in Montgomery County, you're like, that could come across the river and get me. Yeah, and I mean, these storms are really go time for our area. Thankfully, we don't see that many outbreak days across our region, but when they do happen, we have the entire weather team on board. There's always at least 2 of us, here in the weather center tracking the storm. Someone's going to be on air, someone's going to be behind the scenes looking at additional radar data that we can't show you on TV, and also looking for storm damage and checking in with the National Weather Service. Yeah, it's a team effort, and of course the web page is updated constantly. We have sometimes we have the digital folks back here, and we'll have somebody in the Weather Commander. Yeah. So we'll cover it from all sides. It is all hands on deck, and we do everything we can to help keep people safe. Now, coming up in just a little bit, we're going to talk a little bit more about Tornado Alley. Thankfully, we don't see as many storms as that region of the country, and also how that region is kind of shifting with warming global temperatures. Now, we've had some busy severe weather seasons as of late. Last year alone, we had over 40 tornado warnings issued across the area. And so far this year already, we've seen 14 tornado warnings, most of which were issued during our March 16th severe weather outbreak. And you've probably heard of Tornado Alley, which is the part of the United States around the Central Plains, which has historically been the most susceptible to tornadoes forming. However, there's growing evidence that tornado formation patterns are shifting east.
Oh my God!
According to a study published in the Journal of Applied Meteorology and Climatology, parts of the Midwest and Southeast United States are now at a greater tornado threat. This map shows where tornadoes formed between 1951 to 1985, with the peak of tornado formation in northern Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas. Compare that to data from 1986 to 2020, where that peak shifted to Mississippi, Louisiana, and Alabama. You can also see an increase in tornadoes through parts of Virginia, D.C., and Maryland.
We've seen an interesting trend.
I spoke to Maria Molina, an assistant professor in the Department of Atmospheric and Oceanic Science at the University of Maryland, and she says the key ingredients we need for severe weather development are shifting east.
Warmer temperatures, very moist air has been increasing in terms of its spatial extent and eastward shift, and also the time of year that it occurs in, which means that now if you live farther east than areas where we typically tend to see activity like tornadoes and large hail, you might be starting to experience some of that, perhaps a bit more than before.
While warmer temperatures over the Gulf of Mexico are increasing moisture in the southeast, we've also been seeing incredibly dry conditions in the southwest, and that drier air spills into the plains, which can lead to less severe weather in areas once known for significant severe weather days. The shift in severe weather is also putting more populated areas at risk.
There's been quite a bit of research illustrating this sort of expanding bullseye. So metropolitan centers across the southeastern United States becoming more expanded, and now you have thunderstorms moving through, so that probability of being impacted by severe weather or seeing humans impacted by severe weather is increasing.
Okay, so about tornadoes, they've changed the scale a little bit, okay? So let's kind of go over this. It changed a few years ago. So EF0 now is 65 to 85. In the old days, it was 48 to 78. EF1 up to 110, but you know, before it was 117. So what I'm kind of getting at is the scale has been lowered a little bit. In other words, EF5 now is 200 miles or higher, but in the old days, it had to be over 261 miles per hour. So as we go through the next, few decades, we're going to see probably more EF2s and EF3s, but that's because the scale has been lowered, changes the rules.
Yeah, absolutely. But, we always say, like we talked about earlier, doesn't even need to be a tornado, an EF0, EF1 to cause significant damage. That's why all tornado warnings need to be treated with the same intensity. And so do those severe thunderstorm warnings with really powerful winds. Yeah,
you can't let your guard down on that at all. You have to treat both. And we just went through the destructive storms again. And remember, severe thunderstorms are going to cover more area and be more numerous and more often.
Yeah, and we will, of course, see more tornado warnings issued throughout the severe weather season, but we could also see tornado watches as well. So meteorologist Grace Thornton explains the difference between the two.
When you are under the threat of severe weather, it's always good to know the difference between a watch and a warning. The main categories that you'll see are a severe thunderstorm watch or warning or a tornado watch or warning. A severe thunderstorm or tornado watch is usually issued hours ahead of a storm threat and is in effect for a handful of hours until that threat passes. Because there is a time frame, the watch communicates that there is a risk of hazardous weather, but it might not be happening at that specific moment. Mainly, we want you to be aware. This is a good time to go over your severe weather plan and make any necessary preps to your property. A warning, though, that communicates that hazardous weather is happening right now. It means take action and get to a safe space.
Okay, so I mean, for us, because we're nerds, we've known what a watch and a warning is since we were, yay high. Yeah. In fact, one time I was at the dinner table asking my own kids, and they were teenagers, the difference between a watch and a warning. They didn't know, which is kind of upsetting. So one way of looking at a watch is we're watching it, okay? We're watching it, ingredients are there, could happen. And then a warning is like, hey, it's happening, it's occurring, put your severe, safety plan into execution.
Yeah, a lot of people kind of equate these to different types of food. I've seen this online where like a taco bar or an ice cream sundae or sometimes a cookie, where a watch means you have all the ingredients, you've got the flour, sugar, chocolate chips, but nothing's really happening until you start cooking it together, until storms start cooking, and that's when you get warnings and when you get the complete cookie. So always important to know the difference between the two, and also know that a watch typically precedes a warning. On an ideal day.
Ideal days.
Yeah, we have an idea, right, that those conditions are there, so you'll see a watch issued.
Right, not to get too deep in the weeds here, watches also cover large areas, can cover the entire mid-Atlantic. Warnings are individual pieces of a county or parts of 2 counties or maybe 3 counties. So those are issued by our local weather service at Sterling, and the watch comes out of SPC, Severe Storms Prediction Center, in Norman, Oklahoma. That's all they do 24/7 is figure out where the severe weather will be across the entire country.
Yeah, and I mean, while ideal that you would in theory have a severe thunderstorm watch or a tornado watch ahead of an actual event, that's not always the case. That's why it's really important to sign up for our WUSA9 app, because you don't get watches sent straight to your phone, but you will get the warnings sent straight to your phone. Anytime there's any kind of tornado warning, severe thunderstorm warning issued in your area, that alert will automatically come through. That being said, we're always updating our app as well. So if a watch is issued, we update our website, and then you'll get that alert sent straight from us.
And you can go to the app and you can allow a pretty specific area to be warned, so you won't be troubled or bothered with warnings that will never affect you. You can also, pick some zip codes, maybe your kids at college. You can have warnings come in for that as well. Yeah. So warnings, it's happening. Watch, it's possible. The ingredients are there. All right, so coming up after the break, meteorologist Mary Marshall will review the best place to seek shelter when a tornado warning is issued.
Welcome back. Well, when severe weather strikes, it's important that you know where to go. Meteorologist Mary Marshall joins us now with the safest places to seek shelter during a storm.
As severe weather season gets underway, it's important to keep a few key safety tips in mind. First thing, stay informed. Check the forecast regularly. Tools like our radar, which streams 24/7, or our website are great ways to keep track. And if the power goes out, a weather radio can be a lifesaver for getting critical information. Next, have a plan. Knowing a storm is coming is only half the battle. The National Weather Service recommends practicing a severe weather drill with your family. Now, it might seem a little odd on a sunny day, but when the alerts blare, you'll be glad you did. Make sure you have a meeting place already picked out. Before a storm, prep your home. Secure anything outside that could blow around. That may include patio furniture, trash cans, garden tools. Charge your phone and other devices so you can stay connected and keep trees and branches trimmed near your house. Inside your home, know where to go. Stay low and away from windows. If there's a tornado, the basement is one of the safest places to go. Head to the most interior part of your home if you don't have a basement. Try to get to the lowest level, like a stairwell, a bathroom, or a closet, and build a severe weather safety kit. These kits can really help during a storm, and they may include bottled water, food that won't spoil, a can opener, flashlight, extra batteries, a first aid kit, toiletries, toilet paper, that sort of stuff, some basic tools, and maybe a small toy or card game for the kids. After the storm, the danger doesn't end. Be careful around down power lines. Never touch them. If it's dark, use a flashlight instead of candles to avoid fire hazards. Watch out for nails, broken glass, and fallen trees. And if you smell gas, it's best to leave immediately and call the gas company. If your home is damaged and you need repairs, be smart about it. Choose your contractor carefully. The National Center for Prevention of Home Improvement Fraud says the key is staying thoughtful, not desperate. Ask questions, do your research, and don't rush. And finally, by following these National Weather Service guidelines, you'll be well prepared to weather any storm. Stay safe out there. Caitlin and Topper, over to you.
All right, thanks, Mary. Yeah, it's just important also to have a plan, not try to do this while the storm is coming or while it's actually, occurring.
Yeah, and also think about what do you do if a tornado warning is issued when you're not at home, right? Because we reviewed the areas that are safest in your home, but think about your office building. Where's the best place to go? Review with the kids if a warning is issued during school, where they go.
Yeah, and you should have all those plans in place. Your office should actually have a plan in place for you. But yeah, maybe an emergency text for the kids. If you're in school, here's where you go. Well, remember, wherever severe weather strikes, our weather team has your back. We'll stay on top of changing forecasts, and we'll also be out in the community surveying the damage.
Yeah, that's right. And you too can help our community stay informed. Whenever it's safe to do so, we always encourage you to send in photos and videos of what's going on in your neighborhood. You can join our group of weather watchers on Facebook by scanning the QR code you see right there on your screen with your phone's camera. It'll take you to a link to join our Facebook group. We're always posting forecast updates about when these severe weather events are about to happen and reminders about how to safely take those photos and videos.
And to put a winter analogy on a severe weather, protection plan is think of it as layers. So if you have our app, okay, if you have access to our radar stream live now, if you've downloaded WUSA9 Plus, you've got it. It's 24/7. You can check radar at home with your TV for free, but it's all about layers. Watching us broadcast, checking our website, downloading our app, and checking out Radar Live 24/7.
Yeah, make sure you download that one as well. You'll always have radar right in the palm of your hand, and it's important when it comes to this time of the year.
It is, and remember they move 50, 60 miles per hour, so a minute is a big deal. We hope you feel informed and are prepared for our upcoming severe weather season. I'm meteorologist Topper Schott.
And I'm meteorologist Caitlin McGrath. Thank you for watching, and remember you can always get the latest forecast streaming on WUSA9 Plus and on our WUSA9 app and website.